What is up, you guys, and welcome to the Upper 90 YouTube soccer channel. In today's video, we're talking about one player from each club that's going to have a breakout season. Now, some of these players may be the best player for their club, or they may just be the player that are going to have a breakout season. So stick around as we dive deeper into this. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Mike, huge Chelsea fan, so I'm looking forward to talking about Chelsea's player. But first, we're going to start with Arsenal. Now, Arsenal is a younger squad, but I think Smith Rowe is going to be their breakout player this season. Just signed a new contract, looked real promising last year. I think this year, he's got so much more potential, look better and better. Next on the list, we have Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa just lost their captain, star player Jack Grealish, but I think their new signing, Danny Ings, is going to be their breakout player this season. We see him score for so many other clubs in the Premier League. I don't think he's going to stop when he's at Aston Villa, and I think he's going to score multiple goals for this club. Next on the list, then we have Brentford. Now, Brentford is a club that just got promoted into the Premier League, and I think their top forward, Ivan Toney, is going to be another breakout player for this team. Now, he's scored so many goals in the Championship that may transition into the Premier League, and therefore, I think he's going to have their breakout season. Following that, we have Brighton. Now, Brighton is a little bit more difficult because they do have some really good players in defense, but I think Gross in the midfield is going to have one of the better seasons for this club. As we saw last year, he started to improve more and more as the season went on. And again, I think he's going to keep that momentum going and play really solid this season. After Brighton, we have Burnley. Now, Burnley, they're a team that really play well together, so it's hard to pick one player. But if I had to pick a player, I'm going to go with Wood. Now, Chris Wood up top, again, he's one of those players that can play out of his mind one week and play terrible the next week. But overall, I think he's going to be their talisman for this season. And again, I think he's going to have their breakout season at Burnley. Following Burnley, we have the one and only Chelsea. Now, I can pick pretty much every single player on this team because I think they're all going to have a breakout season. But the one player that I really think is going to step it up and really push forward is Kai Havertz. Yes, last year he had a bad season or an okay season, but I think this season is really going to help him out. Thomas Tuchel's been there all season, preseason, really getting his philosophy going. I think Kai Havertz is really going to show what he's worth this season. Following Chelsea, we have Crystal Palace. This one's a pretty easy one. We're going to go with Zaha. Again, I think he's a player that's really going to break out for this club again. Each season, he pretty much carries this team. Very solid with footwork, playing balls across. Just overall, he's their best player. So again, it's pretty obvious to pick Zaha as their breakout player. Next on the list, we have Everton. Now, Everton is another club that can have multiple other players really break out this season, but I think they're going to have DCL break out again this season. As we saw last year, he really hit his stride early on and then kind of plateaued out. I think, again, this can happen for him this season, but this time I think he's going to keep rising and play pretty solid throughout the entire season. Next on the list, we have Leeds United, and I'm going with their midfielder, Calvin Phillips. As we saw in the Euros, this guy can really ball, is one of the better midfielders, and I think he went under the radar last year, and I think this year, now that he was at the Euros, everyone's going to see how good of a player he is, and therefore I think he's going to have a breakout season. Following Leeds United, we have Leicester City, and I'm going to go with the plain old boring James Maddison. I think, again, he's going to be one of their better players. If he can stay healthy, he's definitely head and shoulders above most of the other midfielders. Yes, Ndidi, Tielemans, Jamie Vardy, all those guys can have a breakout season, but I think James Maddison is going to be the guy that's really going to push this team forward and possibly make the top four. Following them, we have Liverpool. Now, the guy who I think is going to have a breakout season, I know this might be a shock, is Virgil van Dijk. Yes, the one and only Virgil van Dijk for Liverpool. I think after coming back from the injury, everyone is a little skeptical on how well he'll do, but I think he's going to come out of the gates blazing and show how vital he is and really help solidify that defense in the Liverpool where they struggled after he got hurt. With him starting and being back there, they're going to show how united they are back there and not let too many goals, and therefore I think Virgil van Dijk is going to be that player that shows how great Liverpool is. Following Liverpool, we got Manchester City, and again, this is another club that can have so many breakout players, but I'm going to go with Phil Foden. the young lad who really shined pretty brightly in the Euros, but also at the end of the season last year. Yes, again, they also have multiple players. Jack Grealish being there, I think he could be the other player that breaks out. Raheem Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne obviously is their best player, so I don't think he's going to break out because he's been pretty much at this line the entire time, and therefore it's hard for him to really move up anymore, which is why I'm not picking him. Otherwise I would, but I think Phil Foden is really going to rise up this season as well. Following Manchester City, we're going to Manchester United, and this is the same thing. Bruno Fernandes is really one of their better players, and again, he's a star player. I don't see him having a breakout season because, again, he's been playing so well. The player I'm going to pick, though, is going to be Jadon Sancho, who came from Bayfoul Bay, and I think he's going to be a player out on the wing, and they're going to show why he was worth so much and how he's going to help United score a lot of goals and break down a lot of defenses and really help United reach higher up in the Premier League table this season. Following Manchester United, we have Newcastle. Now, Newcastle is one of those that I'm not too sure if they're going to have a lot of players break out, but the one player I could really see playing really well again for them is Callum Wilson, their forward. Again, we know him as a goal-scoring machine, and I think he's going to help Newcastle score a lot of goals this season and have another breakout season. Next on the list, we have Norwich. Now, Norwich, again, is a team that got recently promoted, and I know I've talked about this player multiple times in other videos, but Todd Cantwell, I think, is going to be a player that's going to be playing out of his mind this season. Again, I don't think many people are really thinking of how Norwich is going to play. They lost a few players to the window, but again, I think Todd Cantwell is going to show how great of a midfielder he is and show how universal he is at playing balls, opening up players, dribbling, scoring, shooting, all that. He has it, and again, I think he's going to have another great season at the club. Next on the list is Southampton. Now, this is one where I'm pretty much going to pick the player that everyone's thinking, and that's James Ward-Prowse. Yes, he's again one of those players that's been here, but again, I think he can actually even go further. He's great taking free kicks. Obviously, we see him score multiple goals. Passing-wise, he plays pretty much every minute for Southampton, so it's hard to pick anyone else at this club, and I think he can actually play just a bit better. If they can get someone that can score more goals, I think James Ward-Prowse can pick up even more assists this upcoming season and be an elite midfielder for this club. Following Southampton, we have Tottenham. Now, don't get me wrong, Harry Kane's still there, and I would pick him, but I think he's leaving, and I think he's going to Manchester City, which is why I'm not picking him for this club, and I'm going to go with Son. I think Son just recently signed his contract, and he's going to just keep playing out of his mind. He's so quick on the wing that, again, I think he can score a lot of goals this season. Yes, Harry Kane did contribute to a lot of those goals, but again, I think with all the other players they've been signing, I think they're going to link well with Son, and I think he's going to have another season where he's going to score a lot of goals and just play out of his mind for Tottenham. Next on the list is our last team that got promoted, and that's Watford. Now, Watford, I think, are going to struggle this year, but the one player I can definitely see scoring a lot of goals is Deeney. We've seen him score multiple times in the Premier League back when Watford was in the Premier League, and again, I think he's not going to have a too hard of a time scoring goals. Yes, it may take a while since he's playing for Watford still, but overall, I think he's going to have a great season this upcoming season. Next on the list, we have West Ham. Now, West Ham, again, is a team that I think can do well, but I also think they had a fluke season. But the one player I think that's really going to see it up high and really just show how great he is Souček. Now, we saw last year how well he played, and I think we just saw the beginning phase of how great this player is. I think he's going to even be better this upcoming season and show how great of a signing he was for West Ham. I'm not too sure how long he'll stay at West Ham, because I think if he keeps playing well, I think other big clubs are going to come knocking and want this solid midfielder at their club. And last on the list, we have Wolves. Now, Wolves, I'm going to go with Raul Jimenez, who's coming back from an injury. If he can get back to his former self, this guy can score so many goals. The only problem is with that bad injury he had last season, he may not be the same player, but if, again, he can get back to that same form, he can really help Wolves stay up this season and score a lot of goals, because as we've seen before, Wolves like to hit on the counterattack, and Raul doesn't need much space to score goals, and therefore I think, again, he's going to have another stellar season this upcoming season. So that is all I have for you today. Again, this is a video on the players and each club that I think are going to have just a better season this year. Yes, again, there's other star players at all these clubs that are going to have another solid season. Like I said, Kevin De Bruyne, Bruno Fernandes, just being a few of those guys, are going to have another solid season. But all the other players on those clubs, I think, are going to go up higher and higher and have breakout seasons as well. So If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate that. That means a lot. Helps get this video out to more and more fans of the sport. So that is all, and I will see you next time.